Welcome back to the Dropping In Surf Show. My name is Rob Case. I'm a paddling technique coach based out of Northern California. In this episode, Barry Green, surf coach from Santa Cruz, California, centeredsurfing.com. You can look that up. He's also been on the show before. He and I, we did a quick strike mission up to Lake Chelan, Washington, to surf a standing, static, artificially made river wave made by City Wave. It's one of their largest ones they've made. You've probably heard of the other one in Munich. If you haven't checked that out, City Wave, and Lakeside Surf. And so we went up there to just kind of try it out and see what it was like, and see if it, for Barry, if it was a viable option to take some of his clients and work on technique. For me, I was just checking out the lake, and maybe we could do a co-trip, where we do some paddling in the lake, and then we do some surfing on the wave. And so this was just a recording of three different recordings, actually spliced together here, of our experience. The first section is right after my first and second session and after Barry's first session. So it's just a reflection of that. The second section is a reflection of my third and fourth sessions, and as well as Barry's second and third session. And then the last section of this podcast episode, is a reflection and review of the video of our last session there. And so it's interesting, the journey that we went through from the beginning to the very end. And it's really about the learning process, but also about just the wave itself and how it might help you with your surfing. So just to warn you, this is a pretty visual podcast, so I would recommend that you go to the show page at surfingpaddling.com/dropping-in-surf-show to watch the actual video of this. And if not, if you're listening to this in your car or in some other form, I apologize for this next section. So the first section that we reflect on, we did it at the pool. There was music, there was the pool noise. I tried my best to edit out all the background noise, but you're going to probably want to adjust your volume between the first and the second recordings. And I do pop in and give you a little warning, hey, we're switching sections. So at any rate, enjoy the show, and I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, we're live from
the Olympic venue in Tokyo.
Lake Chelan. Lake Chelan. Lakeside Surf.
Yep.
So first impressions, we had two sessions. I had two sessions.
I had two sessions. I had two in one session. I paid for two, got one. But yeah, quite a...
Whoop.
The water movement
is
very unfamiliar. It's akin to a river wave, so that visual, the movement, so your proprioception is off big time. Your interior state, you're nervous and anxious because you can kind of see and visualize, but the feel and where your attention goes, it's all taken up. Your full attention is taken up with a very, you got to stay present and find something. Like I found focusing on my core strength once I stood up helped me just stay in one spot. And then if I found that, then I could move a little bit. But yeah, it's super hard, super challenging, but good. Neuroplasticity and exercising that beginner mindset, and just like, all right, figure this out. So
it was very humbling.
Yeah.
Like extremely humbling, like to a point where I had to, like you said, like almost reset the whole body and focus on my feet.
Yeah. You got to find something.
For me, it was focusing on my back foot and really finding that connection to the water, because there's so much water moving up. Whereas an ocean wave, you kind of settle into the board, you can feel the pressure and then react to it. This one is like constant
Yeah.
Constant stimuli on your feet. And then, yeah, just humbling, like very humbling right off the bat. Getting just on the board and then not knowing where I was on the wave. Like that spatial, I thought I was like high up on it, but I was in the trough.
Yeah,
and I thought I was like way out in front of it, and then I was like right in the middle. Like it was just so
Well, the
bizarre.
water's being pumped out above your eye level if you're down at the trough at the base of the wave, of the embankment that the water's shooting down. Like it's probably a 6-foot differentiation, and so learning how to, in the boards we got, your fins were super flexy. So besides, but what I saw, after your first couple rides where it's just like, where am I? You ended up starting to use your rail, cut across the wave, come up high, and just, it's just like finding that place within yourself where you can kind of add a little bit more sensitivity, and then you can get a little more confident, and then it's just building on that. And it's a nice supportive environment. I mean, this is the thing about these kind of things are fun, is like everyone's learning together.
Yeah.
So there's a community aspect of it, and even though you're like worried about like not being well at it, it's like there's no attitude, there's no vibe.
My ego went out the door right after wave one.
Yeah.
Right when I hit that trough right there.
I was watching.
That was a trip right there.
Yeah, the flogging when you come out of the back of the wave is like a legit like mini, unsuspecting hold down, just for like 2 more seconds than you would think in typical sub head high waves,
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But yeah, it's not.
For me, it was the opposite of what I'm so used to. Like
Right.
the boat is front foot with touches of the back.
Right.
And that's how I'm in the ocean. I'm focused on keeping that
You're
speed.
a front foot surfer.
Here you don't need to focus on speed. You're all back foot. And everything was opposite for me. So it took me those 2 sessions to even try to get comfortable with it. And
Yeah.
even then I'm looking forward to tomorrow because
Yeah. Well, I think it's learning. Like
download everything.
this isn't exhilarating like Kelly Slater wave pool where you're gonna get barreled or do something akin to ocean wave, like a peak ocean wave experience.
Yeah.
This isn't stimulating that way. I mean, it'll feel good when we get better, like our friend here who's pro and who can lay it on rail and throw the spray. Like that's probably the only thing that relates to a satisfying surf move.
Yeah.
But the learning process and to get into your body and to really build new neural pathways from your board to brain,
Yeah.
I think that's super valuable.
I agree because my brain was firing that whole time
Yeah.
from my head to my feet, like
Right.
all the way through. And we weren't doing anything like this guy.
Right. So
And yet I could feel myself learning.
right. So the consistency of this just being the same thing allows you to more quickly zero in on the sequencing, the weight transfer, the shifting, the input, the visuals. The visuals totally disorienting when you're down there. You're in this U-shaped thing, and it's like, what? But yeah, I think the better you know yourself and know how to learn and go through a process like this, like it can for like newer surfers especially, even not, like it's a tune-up of the sense. It's a sensory tune-up.
I mean, look at us.
Yeah.
Like, we've been surfing for a long time. This is a total restart.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that video of the backwards bike? Where the guy learns,
How to ride backwards.
now he rides handlebars, and when you turn left, the wheel goes right.
Oh, yeah,
Seen
yeah.
that?
I've seen that. Yeah.
That's what I felt like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
whole
It's
entire
definitely
time.
like that, yeah.
This whole entire time, and that's, for me, that was like a workout of my brain.
Yeah.
In a great way, and it was not. I was expecting by session 2 I was pulling out my board, and I was going to put it on rail, and I was going to work on things that I need to work on in the ocean. And my plan has been completely blown up, and I'm working on just like the subtlest little things now. And I think that's super important for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's value. Like I said, the value is going to be each person, but I think in my ocean surfing, I've been doing like switch stance and like spin reverses, a few things that are definitely right brain, left brain stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a similar, when things start coming together there and you kind of get your awareness in certain things and like, oh, shift your weight. You know, you get these little moments of clarity and then you start having, you know, broader spectrum of awareness in the opposite.
Yeah.
Just like the bike thing. So yeah, it's.
How long have you been doing it? Like at what point did you feel confident going switch, let's say, in the ocean?
Well, no, I'm still learning.
Yeah, okay.
What I've gotten good at are like the reverse fin takeoffs.
Okay.
And just spinning either fakie and spinning around or like doing a little shove it.
Right.
And that's a little right brain, left brain thing. But then to stay opposite stance, it's just you need the reps like this thing.
Yeah, well that's what I mean, like
I'm just starting to get clarity, you know, because I don't put that much time into it. You know, if I'm in a free surf, that's where it's hard for everybody. Like, oh, I'm going to work on expanding my, you know, but it's akin to that because it's that neuroplasticity. It's a rewiring.
So I'll explain my first 10 minutes. And then so I had 2 sessions in a row, 2 45 minutes. So the first 10 minutes, after the 10th minute, I was so frustrated.
Were you?
I was like extremely frustrated. I was like, I'm not feeling the feedback. I'm not getting this. Like I thought at least I would get a feeling of how it was, right? And then it took me that whole first session. At the tail end of that was when I finally got that feeling, and then the second session was good. Yeah. So for me, it took me 40 minutes of just frustration and pushing through that, which is learning.
Yeah.
Right? And I haven't felt that in a long time because I haven't challenged myself to do something brand new like this.
Right.
And I think what was more frustrating is because this appears so similar to what we do all the time. It made it more frustrating that I didn't get it quicker.
Yeah. You can relate that good guy, the pro level guy that's spinning. I mean, it's a skimboard, you know, like you can see that and you can feel it in your, you know, your proprioception kind of like scan and feel like, oh yeah, I know how to like play down rail, but then the adjustments in between something like that require a lot of input, a lot more input. You stay hard. There's a lot of weight transfer constantly to deal with that fast flow of water. I mean, it's like you're just calibrating, like, you know, it's like heavier gravity or something, you know, and you gotta like, okay, how do I work with this?
Yeah, you know what I really liked by the end of the second session, well, by the second session in general, was the amount of time I was feeling the fins. Like you said, those fins were really soft, really flexible. But I had that time to kind of do that weight shift. And I liked kind of just doing those little turns. For me, that was me settling into it. And getting used
it looked
to
good.
it. And the guys were like, no, look here. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm trying to like
I can't look
settle
yet.
in. Like I'm like feeling it from my brain to my feet.
I'm not ready to add the
but
visual.
It reminded me of when I'm behind the boat and you can lean on the line and put all your weight on the back fins and feel the fins and feel the tail. And then, you know, that's only if you have the line, but that's what it felt like. That's where it was similar to me. But yeah, it was. It was very
it's
humbling.
doing pretty good.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like I look like. Whoa, boom.
Oh God.
But yeah, a very cool experience. We'll see what tomorrow brings. I think it's, you know, like we've been so far. We'll have more input tomorrow, but I can already say, like, it probably, once you get past the adjustment of the water flow and the weight transfer and input, and you can go rail to rail, you might, I don't know if people who have never done those type of turns in the ocean, if this helps them figure out or not. That was one of the bigger questions I had in the back of my mind about coming to explore this was like, is this, the ability to get reps and be up on your feet, can that help somebody that doesn't do a top turn, kind of like get the board out in front of them, they're off axis, they're not straight up and down, they're not just flat turning it, rotating, like they're on rail, carving. Will this help that?
I saw you in your upper body start one.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's like, it was automatic for you to be like, okay, I'm gonna go off the top, but there's no lip to hit.
Yeah, and there's there's like, well, I'm moving. I'm moving.
I do like the ability to calm your upper body.
Yeah.
And we'll see what tomorrow brings. But
see what tomorrow brings. It'll bring more learning. It'll be more appreciation.
Yeah.
I mean, this is at the baseline. Like, this is learning.
Oh, a drop in.
New is like fun. And look, this guy, this pro guy that competes is just out there spinning and carving and ripping. I mean, you get in your flow state. Like he's like a skater, just like, I just want to do my thing and just go over and over and over and over, and he's so fun. And it'd be fun to get somebody like him out
on an ocean wave.
In an ocean wave. I bet he's done some surfing, but I bet it would be interesting. That would be a good test.
We would need to get him on like a point break wave where he can get used to, kind of settle into that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right, slow down.
Cool. We'll reconvene tomorrow.
Mañana.
Thank you so much for hanging in on the audio on that one. That was tough because you could hear a lot of that water in the background. I did my best to try to edit that out, but I'm sure it was a bit of a struggle. I'm giving you this time to kind of turn your volume back down a little bit because the next two sections, the audio was much better. In this next section, Barry and I just kind of recorded a little bit of audio of our reflection of the sessions that you're actually going to see on the video. So if you're watching this at the show page on the video, you're actually going to see what we are talking about, but we're not looking at the video. We're not actually seeing what you're seeing on the screen. We're just reflecting on those last couple sessions. And so that's kind of an interesting take on what we're feeling versus what you're actually visually seeing. And then in the third section, we are going to be able to see what you are seeing as well. So in this section, you can still follow along in your car or bike riding or just audio, just the audio. You can follow along because we are just talking about the learning process and our experiences with the wave. It is, again, a bit more of a richer experience if you do watch the video, so you can go ahead and pause it and jump in on this section too. So enjoy. All right, session 2 in the books for you.
Session 2
and 3.
Second and third session. I had one yesterday.
So my like what I saw this morning from you is where I was on my second. Mm-hmm. Like the connections,
right? Like
you're connecting them a lot faster than I did, but like that same thing. So I'm expecting that on our last session, you to be going up the top of the wave and rolling down. Well, you know what I mean? Like that, but it's that we've seen the progression just with ourselves, right? In that time in 2-3 sessions, yeah. So, any thoughts on?
No, it's just it's very interesting. Being a coach and always being in that role of the teacher and the expert, and then this beginner mindset, getting completely thrown off and having to start from scratch, kind of, even in something that seems somewhat related to area of expertise. So it's enjoyable watching that process and experiencing it, and the moments of being out on that wave. It's fun to make little insights. And we're kind of powwowing in between some of the runs. Like today, earlier, just kind of trying to hold a higher line up on the wave, closer to the top. That seemed to be something that provided confidence to me, or clarity, and then now it's just like linking together.
Well, it's funny, we're looking at the wave totally different
Yeah.
than everybody else there. Like even the coaches there are
Yeah.
like, yeah, you go down low and you figure it out, and
Yeah.
we're looking at it as, okay, where's the water flow? Like where, how does the curve look?
Yeah.
And how is that interacting with the board? And like, it's such a different perspective.
Yeah.
From an ocean surfer.
Well, yeah, it's fairly interesting.
You were chatting the guy up this morning in the hot tub,
Mm-hmm.
right afterwards, and so he was an ocean surfer, and he was surfing pretty well.
Yeah, he said he's done more ocean surfing than anything, but judging by that, he was never like, I don't think he ever lived on the coast surfing regularly,
right,
day by day. But he's done most of that, and then he moved inland here, just down the way on the river where there's some river waves,
right,
and then he's come here like 20 some odd times.
Right. So he's done a lot of static wave surfing.
Right.
And you can tell. You can see it in his surfing, and he was very consistent.
Yeah. Well,
But
even we would rate that his level of movement to surfing as kind of a common level with a lot of our clients. Like, okay, they're just figuring out how to roll it over and edge over and stuff like that.
He had some great turns, though.
Yeah.
A lot of his, like, the shoulder head in the calmness of his movement. And of course, this is your area of expertise, but I just, visually, that's when I see that, I'm like, okay, that's what I want to make a turn look like, is that calmness of the turn. And I found it interesting with him, because it's like, okay, if he's done that 20 times and he's done river surfing a bunch, that's not that far. Like if we came back a couple more times, we might be pretty close to that area.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean?
And he's on a better board. I think this afternoon I'm going to try my 5.6 Cymatic.
Yeah. We're going to try to record it if we can, but it might be
And
too
you
crowded.
can.
Yeah.
Try it if you want.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see. I mean, I think I want to try it once and just see, pass fail, like, like if it's,
Feels different.
or measure it, like, okay, this is like, but I brought it all the way up, so I might as well try it. And like you said, like that's a board I don't care if anything happens to it. You could get your board dinged up pretty good.
Yeah. What about the movement of the two guys that are really good?
Yeah.
I'll show clips of them. Like, as a surf coach, looking at their movement, what do you see that's very relatable in the ocean, and can you decipher what's ocean movement and what was basically static wave movement for them?
Yeah. When I was talking about the other guy being kind of akin to our typical client, I was meaning like, rolling over basic turns on this demand way more skill or way harder.
Yeah.
So like if you just didn't have any context and you saw like, oh, he's kind of like beginnerish, and then you realize like this guy's like that's, I want to get to where he is,
Right.
Like, so the advanced guys are like, they have everything measured out, right? So they're not taking any there's no conscious awareness taken up with a lot of the stuff, and then they're just focused on the hard turns, or the little ollies and the rotations, where they, come off the actual water and land, and then have to re-engage with how fast that water's moving, and so that's they're working on harder transitions. Now the turns, like coming higher on the wave and turning down and like pushing the tail out, like just, like they're little snaps, they're little carves.
Yeah.
And that looks like ocean, but it's still going to be measured against that fast moving water up. So like we'll get there, but there's nothing drawn out. Well, even what's going to look drawn out and like a cutback turn, like a top, coming top down the line and then cutting back and changing directions, like a roundhouse cutback, is going to have a totally different level of engagement in your body, and less like hip rotation. Like it's just totally different. So already I've learned like, yeah, this doesn't help you. I don't think there's much crossover you program more channels. We were talking about this breakfast. There's more potential in you to adapt to this type of board sport and this type of water movement that's just going to apply to somewhere in certain ocean circumstances.
It'll enhance your learning capability.
Yeah.
Right? So like I was telling you this morning, I haven't been challenged like this in a long time, like motor learning wise.
Yeah.
Which is on me. I need to do more of that. But it's hard on the brain. I got frustrated early, but it's I know that this is going to be good. Maybe not a direct transferability, but in terms of just the learning process of doing anything that's difficult for you, having to go through that learning step.
Yeah.
Is that's what I was going back to the advanced surfers. I was actually trying to watch their weight distribution back to front, because as we've learned is this wave is very back-footed.
Yeah.
Like very back-footed. And I've seen you go for your roundhouse and you shift to your front foot, which is when you get to that first stage, you got to keep that speed through the wave, right? But here it's like still back foot, like
yeah.
And so there's little subtleties. And one of the other thing I noticed was that when we get to the top of the wave, a lot of people kind of like bail out when they're at the top, whereas you and I are like, wait a minute, we're still in this thing. You know, like we can shift forward and then back on that back foot.
Visually you find yourself way up high,
right?
And then it's like almost like the perspective and feel would be like mid floater.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm just on top of this thing, and your fins and board are engaged in kind of unstable water, and you're just kind of weightless there before the drop, and so it's like that kind of realization. It's not the same. That's what it reminds me of. And then it's like, oh wait, I'm not ejected yet. Get forward,
get down,
and then you're back in. You're like, oh, but it just looks, the visual and the visceral, like totally new programming.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's, when you're learning something like this, you have to learn how to down regulate that interoception, like what's going on inside of me, where's my attention, and then little by little, it's like, oh, now I'm not so worried about coming off the wall and whoa, where am I? Yeah. Now I'm into the next step, and then I'm thinking like I'm cutting across. I'm like, okay, a little toe pressure. Yeah. Like keep that back foot engaged, keep the tail on the board, hold that high line. Okay, what's the rudder to get across? And then I start going really, really fast. And then I'm starting to learn, okay, heel side, but then how much? And then what does my body do? I don't rotate, I don't torque.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to help you have more awareness. And a lot of people just we have good circuitry for, wake surfing, but this adds more range of, more spectrum of awareness that I think if you know yourself better, if you expand into these other areas, like it's going to be of benefit, and then what's going on inside of me, that's always going to help you.
I go back to that reverse bike or the backwards bike.
Yeah.
And we talk about, you turn the handlebars left, the wheel goes right. And it took him like a couple weeks to like figure it out. But then he can ride it so beautifully. Like he's riding it like a normal bike, right? Yeah. After a few weeks, I forget how long, but I'll put like clips of the video. And then, so he's doing all these talks, right? And he's like, I got $100 here if you can ride this thing for like 20 feet, right? And nobody can do it, right? And so he's doing all these talks on stage and stuff like this. And then he goes back to riding a regular bike, and they videotape it. And he gets on the bike, and these people are watching him, thinking, dude, you've never ridden a bike before, because that's how bad he was at riding a regular bike. And in about 2 minutes, it clicked. And then he was back to riding a regular bike.
Right.
And people were like, we thought you were messing with us. We thought you were totally messing with us. That
no.
You were like, oh, I don't know how to ride a bike. And then all of a sudden you're riding a bike, right? He's like, no, it literally, I could not remember, like my brain could not remember how to do this proper, like the regular way.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
all of a sudden it clicked. And you can see it in the video, he's like shaking, handlebars are shaking, and then all of a sudden, nice and smooth.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where I always go back to that, because I think this is one of those things where if we were to like, let's go extreme. Let's say for a month straight we rode this wave.
Mhm.
You know,
went
in a
back.
month straight, we would be pretty good at it,
Mhm.
right? And then we'd go back to the ocean. Guarantee we'd be falling out of the back of the wave, you know,
Yeah.
because it's so back-footed, and there would be some time in between reverting back to our normal operation,
Oh, yeah.
right? And then, but how long would that be, right? And how much, the bigger question is how much benefit, other than the learning component, just the general learning process component, what other benefit can we take from this? And I think what we talked about yesterday is the foot proprioception of the feet, the tilting of the board
Right.
with just the feet. You know, I was like, you know, as I was coming in to get speed, I lean, because, you know, when you're going faster, you can lean a little bit more. And I was doing a lot more twisting yesterday. And now I'm just like little subtle movements, right? And it's these little things that I think will help me in the ocean and help me, you know, calm my upper body.
Right.
Any other thoughts on benefits that could transfer over?
No, I think we're on to the primary one. We'll have one more session, and then we'll get some time to chew on things, and then I'll be in the water back home tomorrow with some clients and kind of have some direct feedback analogous to the bike and know. But I know from longboarding to shortboarding, and then being able to jump back and forth, like I just think that's an advantage. The more, you know, hey, Android, iOS, I can just like boop, 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 like interoperability across, like I said, the wider spectrum you have of skill and awareness related to board sports. I think you can, I've been surprised, what's this coming to me, you know, like a couple times where I've recovered and it's, my body's just, you know, I know just enough that I think I'm wiping out, but I'm not going to fall until, I'm not going to quit until I'm really gone.
I've seen that
and
a
then,
bunch with you.
Yeah, and then it's like, but, and then I'm sure it doesn't look pretty, but it's interesting.
But you go back to that safe.
But it's
like, you can
interesting.
see that.
It's like, whoa, what's that? What's that? Again,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, I'm still up. Like
Yeah.
I'm way extended and arched and like in a weird position. But I think that may be the type of thing with some of our surfer clients. You know, they may, I would think you might be able to recover. You will go further into some maneuvers and turns that you did before.
Yeah.
And because you know that's because you've practiced awareness to like, oh, am I still in it? Am I out?
Right.
Instead of like how people usually think about it, like, oh, it was over. I couldn't feel anything.
Yeah.
So I just fell or I quit or I jumped. So anyway,
Cool.
it's pretty fun. But yeah, you're looking really, it'll be fun to see. Like you're linking it and get
Relative
going
to
back
how
and
we
forth.
started, yes.
Yeah.
And,
I think our progression's quick.
Yeah, the progression's been quick, and I see some benefits. So, but I'll do the same thing. I have some sessions this weekend, and so maybe we can link up next week and do like a third part, and just be like, how did it feel, you know, in the ocean? Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Or even at the skate.
Or at the skate. Yeah, that'd be a good one. All right.
All right, guys, that was the end of section 2. We're about to start section 3. If you are in your car, I apologize ahead of time. I just put a monitor of our last session. We had a few people around us that were also watching, so you're going to hear some other voices in there. But it's very visual, so we kind of forget that we're doing a podcast and we're just responding to what we're seeing on the screen. So if you want to see that, go ahead and pause. If you're in your car or you're running or anything, just go ahead and pause this section, make note of where you are in the podcast, and then go to the show page and watch the video of it, or to the YouTube channel and watch the video of it. It'll be a little bit more enlightening, and you can go back and watch the video of the progression that we had in sessions 3 and 4.
All right, you ready?
I think so.
Okay. So.
Oh, I haven't looked at these.
So this was our last session, right?
Okay.
And just feedback from that. And since some people are going to actually listen to this on audio, we can can you see it okay?
Yeah.
There we go. So we can describe. So this is my first wave of the last session.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can see how more
Inching out.
more delicate I am with like figuring out the wave versus the very first time where I just went balls to the walls to the middle and then caught an edge.
Right. And what the
It's more like snowboarding.
Yeah. It felt a bit like snowboarding.
but the velocity of that water is probably 3 times the speed of a wave.
Yeah.
Like
Wow. Yeah,
you
I
know,
see
like
that.
like you.
There's potential to get power and
And
speed.
so this is your first wave on the hardboard too. So what was the difference with the hardboard than those foamy,
I felt like I felt a little
flexy-
bit more like when I'm in. Oh, down. It's so just.
Yeah, you gotta get your speed up.
I felt better control, but it was just after developing the sensitivity on the other boards, right? Like in the boards
Yeah.
you're on. But see that there, you're starting to hold it on rail, come down. Whoop.
Well, this is when it started to like
Yeah.
compared to the first time where in the first really 2.5 where I didn't even know where to turn. I didn't know how to generate speed. And now where you were on your 4th, I was on my 5th.
Like there, when
Like-
you get caught there, you're like, oh.
At the top
out.
of the wave, yeah. But there were times, like we talked earlier, how you get stuck at the top of the wave, and we were kind of trying to save it and come down, whereas a lot of the other guys that were kind of more normals there.
Well, the water's so clear,
Yeah.
it's moving so fast, you get stuck under. Oh, this is why I came on this side.
Yeah, how was this taking off the other side?
But see,
So you have to start out going backside to traverse, and then that turn, going backside to front side was the easier turn than going front side to
that
backside.
one I felt like I was pumping them up and
That
around
one
the
you
wall,
totally
and then
pumped.
I ate it. Oh, bonk. That's where I hit my head, that one.
Okay.
Right there. Ooh,
When you got sucked back.
it's still sore. And then the guy, I was asking the lifeguard, and he's like, oh yeah, there's this one bar that's like across this metal
Ah.
part. I'm like, yeah, I found that one.
There you
See,
go.
that's good.
Yeah, so that was where I started to realize to do a more high-speed turn, you wanted to come up
Yeah.
higher on the wave,
Yeah,
and you didn't get pulled back
right.
as much as you
come
might have
high
thought. You
and then
come
forward,
high and then you
right?
come down
Yeah.
low. I thought, like honestly, when I was coming down low, I thought I was coming out into the flats, but as you can see in the video, you weren't. Whoa!
Yeah.
That one was great. Barry almost went right into the wall.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's like, oh, I want to turn. Nope.
So I wanted to ask you, because we had light chat after this, what did it feel like in the ocean? Because we both had ocean sessions after this. So did you see more transferability or feel more transferability?
Like I said, the main thing I noticed, it wasn't hard to get back on my surfboard and surf, but I noticed a couple times where, like, when you're going across here and you have to hold a position, see, like where I overcompensated and caught myself.
Yeah.
In the ocean, that type of scenario where you like maybe overcompensate somewhere and lean and get out of balance vertically.
Oh, this was the one. Hey, this is Barry getting throttled. Hold on, let me go back.
Okay. Anyway, I felt like some fast twitch recovery kind of thing where I would like hold on like this. Like I would think I'm going down, and I paused like this,
Yeah.
vertical, and then I was like, oh, I'm still up. And that taught me that, because it was like I didn't know where I was there, and I just like, okay, I'm holding it. Oh, I'm still up.
Well, you were always really good at, and that's what all the coaches were like, man, he's like really good at saving it. Like you would, I was like, dude, that's all his serving experience. So this is where Barry gets throttled
Let's see.
when he goes over. You go over here. Boom.
1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000, 8, 1,000, 9, 1,000, 10, 1,000. Yeah, almost 10 seconds.
And then you got pulled down a little
Yeah.
bit at the end there.
Right. So yeah. So a 10-second, like, it's
You
kind
kept
of
rolling,
I think-
rolling.
yeah, it was a trip.
Yeah. It's like OB.
It's like not letting me up. It's not letting me up.
Yeah. See the lip right there?
Yeah, you're nice and
I
smooth.
wanted to come up and
Yeah.
like nail it, but then if I had missed it, I would have shoved it right into the guy's face,
Right.
like I did before that one time around 4.
It was fun. Yeah. See, we're kind
Now look at that speed on that one.
But yeah, but I can't hold on the rail transition. If I.
That was a great turn.
Starting to get it right, like
Yeah.
oh, that's a pump.
Boom.
Oh, damn, it's just we were getting there. Like
Yeah.
another day there, another 3 sessions. But see how it took you a while just to get for that back knee, for you able to get your tuck in and like figure out the different front to back foot, and then you see, well, that's a nice coming back. It's nice seeing from this angle because I'd always be watching from behind. Whoa.
That was the flexi fins.
Yeah, the boards. I mean,
fins
that's the other
flexed.
thing. Like on your board, like I said, this last session, you would have been like carving like more even.
That
more.
board was a lot better. The thruster I thought was better than the little twin fin, but the fins were still flexy. But you had tighter fins in yours, right?
My wax really sucked. Like my wax was like just dripping off my board. It was 180.
You gonna play that card?
Yeah.
Your wax sucked.
It was. It didn't help. 1,000.
That was it. So now let's pull up like the really good
100
guys.
degrees, I've never.
All right, so now there's just these two guys. This was post our session. They had like a little thing. So a lot more speed, a lot more comfort going into the waves, and they're using all the wave.
Yeah.
But it's the reset, like that part.
But see how high up on the wave they are when they turn?
And then they lose it because you can't. That's our wave. You're not getting any push. This is all just the water coming at you. You're not
And now
getting-
this guy's on a really small board, so you'll see with really small fins, a small trailer, so he's a lot more maneuverability.
And he has a shoulder sling. It's not a Madonna
No, yeah,
outfit.
he was hurt. He was hurt.
She was hurt and still doing it. Oh, backside, backwards, rotation.
Holds it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, they're right at the top, but I think that's because they're just so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when we were at the top, and that was another thing. That was the perception thing where we were trying to figure out, okay, where do I need to be on this wave,
Yeah.
right? And that
Yeah,
that
like
was
the-
that was 3 sessions,
The
like
wake
just trying to
surfing
figure
wave is
that
the
out.
same thing where you're like, where's the pocket?
Yeah.
Right? Like the pocket on this is very different than.
Yeah.
Well, and I think Barry, you and I keyed on this crease.
Yeah,
See
where
the
you can't-
crease?
See the light to dark line right across there?
Yeah.
See how they ride kind of right on it or just below it, and then we identify that as that's the speed line basically, right? And you want to stay kind of there and then come up on that, come above that, almost to the top of the wave, and then turn down it. See that? He's right on that. But when you're first learning, you're way out here in the front of the flats, like 4 or 5 feet out in front of where he's riding.
And you still lose it. Whenever
Well, and that's like that's where they tell you to start, to learn kind of the flow of the wave. But I think for Barry and I, we're so used to the wave feeling, we needed more water underneath, and then the speed of the water at the top was different than the speed of the
If
water
you're
in that trough.
down in the crease here at the base of the basin there, like it's the top of the wave is like as tall as your head, and then this side's up and this water's fast moving, so it's just like visually it's out of context. And then it's just developing that ability to always be managing that water flow. And so whether you're straight on nose first, front to back, or traversing with some type of heel toe rail, like you have to always prioritize managing the water flow, and then you start adding on the surf moves on top of that, right? But he's always like
Well, so what session was it for you that you started looking around on the wave? Because I'm recalling back, and I was watching the water coming out of these pipes in the front for at least the whole first session. Like
I was looking at the wave, but it just was too
I
it
couldn't
was too
see it.
fast
I
for
couldn't
me
see
to
the
like.
wave.
It was hard to get your bearings,
Yeah,
right? That's why we had to go.
Yeah.
Like, okay, just you can't reference anything that's on your hard drive. You have to like. You're doing a whole different loop here, so.
So in our last conversation that we recorded, I talked about, I don't know if this is going to translate to the ocean other than the learning aspect, but then when I went and I had a coaching session in San Diego and I surfed a few times there on this mid-length.
Uh-huh.
And there were a few instances where my normal, like it was a flat cut back, coming back, front side. And normally I kind of like put more pressure on that front leg as I come around. And I distinctly felt, back foot, just like this. Just like what I felt here. And like I said earlier, I'm so conditioned to be front footed. This helped me become more back footed.
Right.
And that turn felt so good.
Nice.
It felt super good. So I think there is
definitely transferability for me,
Right.
which I'm sure there's going to be transferability for other people in different ways or maybe even the same way.
Well, I would maybe in a good example for me and my surfing is like all the coaching I've done. I mean, the last 10 years, most of my time in the water is coaching, but I'll challenge myself. Like I'll catch waves with clients in between, during sessions and whatever. And I've started doing like fins first, reverse takeoffs, and start like challenging my senses that way. And and then I've done that enough that I can do stuff that's like natural now. And that's the only way I've learned how to sense or feel something different, right? And so this is just an immediate getting you into your body and your mind in a different way, which I think always has value. There's gonna be some new way of relating to the board, and you're gonna find some new possibility or some new sensation that leads to something different, which I think is ultimately a big part of when you use surfing, just progressing.
It's worth it.
Yeah, I think it's totally worth it. But it's just, a lot of people would be frustrated. But then I think if we brought a group up there, it would be like, hey, this isn't surfing, but we're going to figure this out. And then we're going to try to layer 2 surfing onto this. See how far you get. That's the first challenge. Like I said, we're going to come up with maybe some merit badges and going, all right, you got the river wave down, you got that dialect.
Yeah.
And then, if you went back there every year to like spend a couple days and kind of get it, it's always fun referencing your progression.
Cool. Right on.
And there we have it. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Again, apologies for the audio in the very beginning. And if you were in your car and you had to go watch the video, it is quite entertaining to watch us eat it a lot. And just to see the general progression, you'll be able to visually see when we both start to become comfortable with the wave. So thank you again. The location is Lake Chelan in Washington. Lakeside Surf is the wave, and we both hope that this motivates you guys to go explore new learning opportunities. It doesn't necessarily need to be this wave. It can be anything that is new to you, new to your brain. It's going to help you with your surfing. It's going to help you in general. So we would really love to hear stories from you guys on experiences like that in your life, where you've struggled and you've been frustrated, and then you've made those breakthroughs, and kind of what that feels like. So feel free to email me, contact me, or Barry, and until next time, we'll see you in the water.